I transmigrated into the stepmother of the Beijing elite's Buddhist monk. As he grew up, he became aloof and indifferent, cruel and tyrannical. He sent his father to a mental hospital and me, his stepmother, to drink the soup of forgetfulness, tormenting the kind-hearted girl who loved him, both physically and emotionally. Only after the girl's death did he suddenly realize his mistakes. Holding her remains as he leaped into the sea, the good news is that the young monk is still just a child. Only 7 years old, he hasn't yet become a manic-depressive or a bead-collecting enthusiast. The bad news is I got cast as the wicked stepmother, and the Buddha child's father seems genuinely unwell. I pinched the Buddha child's little face and said sternly, "Finished counting your prayer beads yet, and you want to go play? These beads must be counted completely. I'm waiting to gift them to someone. We're destined to become the Buddha child of the capital's elite circles. We must remain solemn. Now I'll tell a joke. You absolutely must hold back your laughter." 01. When I transmigrated here, I had just finished marrying Yusun, the father of the future Buddha's disciple. Right after the wedding, Yusun headed straight to the airport, planning to be away on business for 3 months. He left me alone with the future Buddha's disciple, Yu Yanchen, staring at each other in silence, with a cold snort. He gave me a dismissive glance before lowering his head to methodically count the prayer beads in his hands, one by one. At such a young age, yet already so old, I sorted through the plot. The good news is, Yu Yanchen is only 7 this year and hasn't turned dark yet. The bad news is, I've got the script of the villainess. In the original story, the protagonist abused Yu Yanchen to the point of causing bipolar disorder. Then falsely accused him of being possessed by a ghost and forcibly sent him to a Buddhist temple, where he stayed for over a decade. By the time Yu Yanchen returned, she had her heart and liver gouged out before being dismembered and thrown into the sea. This kid grew up to be a criminal. If not for the protagonist's halo, he would have long been, tut, shot dead. Now that I'm here, naturally, I'm going to defy fate and change destiny. My advantage is that I look very much like Yu Yanchen's biological mother, and I'll rely on this to build a good relationship with him in the future. I plan to change out of my wedding dress and into some casual clothes. Yu Yanchen suddenly barged in and said coldly, "You're not allowed to touch my mother's wardrobe." In the original story, the protagonist not only touched it but also cut up and threw away his mother's clothes. Even provocatively discarded her worthless keepsakes while keeping or selling the valuable ones for herself. All that remained was the Buddhist prayer beads in Yu Yanchen's hand, the only clean relic left by his mother, so much so that later, whoever touched those prayer beads would die. Even the female lead was subjected to his cold violence for a long time after touching them. I hadn't thought of this earlier. Now, I quickly closed the wardrobe door and whispered to him, "This wedding dress is too heavy. Do you have any clothes I can wear? I've been standing all day, my body is exhausted, and my feet hurt. Can you help me, sweetheart?" Yu Yanchen's face turned slightly red, but his words remained stubborn. "Don't call me sweetheart. There are clothes in the guest room." "All right, Chen, can you show me the way?" He turned around to lead the way, still speaking very seriously. "Don't call me Chen. Then what should I call you? We're going to live together for a long time. I can't just call you, hey, call me by my name. I'm Yu Yanchen." "I see, but usually only that kind of kid gets called by their full name." "What kind of kid?" Yu Yanchen turned around curiously. I cleared my throat lightly, looking hesitant and evasive. "Never mind, you're definitely not that kind of kid." I went into the guest room to change my clothes, shutting him out. You're still too young to mess with me. I guarantee you'll spend the whole night wondering what kind of kid you are." The next day, Yu Yanchen got up very early and sat at the dining table. When he saw me, his face was full of resentment, as if he wanted to talk to me but didn't want to lower himself. "Tsk, what a stubborn kid. No wonder he'll be chasing his wife through hell in the future." I smiled and sat down at the table to eat. Suddenly, Yu Yanchen's face darkened. I said I won't eat greens or green beans. Auntie Zhou, the cook, probably used to such scenes, replied expressionlessly, "This is what the master instructed. Your meals must have a balanced mix of meat and vegetables, with 12 different foods in each meal. You can't be picky." Yu Yanchen was furious, even more so. He felt humiliated that an outsider like me had witnessed his embarrassment. He picked up the rice bowl and smashed it violently onto the ground. I said I won't eat. A glint of schadenfreude flashed in Aunt Zhou's eyes before they turned icy again. "Old Zhang," Yu Yanchen shuddered. Immediately afterward, the butler, Uncle Zhang, walked over, scooped up Yu Yanchen, tucked him under his arm, and turned to leave. Yu Yanchen struggled, his entire being as fierce as a little lion. But weak as he was, the more he struggled in front of Uncle Zhang, the more he became a joke. I was completely baffled. I quickly stood up and stopped Uncle Zhang. What's this about? A polite yet distant smile appeared on Uncle Zhang's face. I'll take the young master to the confinement room. The young master has done something wrong, and as the master has decreed, he must understand where he went wrong. Me, he's only 7 years old. Madam, this is the Yu family's rule. You're new here and don't understand yet, but you'll get used to it in time. I can't possibly adapt. Put him down. Uncle Zhang turned his head, giving me an inscrutable look. Madam. This was decided by the master. You should wait for him to return and discuss it with him first. Otherwise, if the master gets angry, we won't be able to explain ourselves. Put him down, or you can pack your things and leave. Uncle Zhang glanced at me and smiled. We've been with the Yu family for over 20 years, and the family rules have been in place for decades. The master grew up with them. It's not appropriate for you, who just arrived yesterday, to change the rules so hastily. You should focus on winning the master's favor and establishing your position first. He swaggered away with Yu Yanchen, completely ignoring his struggles and cries, not even caring whether he was hungry or might choke. My eyes darkened slightly, filled with anger. I might have misjudged the original owner. The fact that Yu Yanchen grew up to be a cold, ruthless, and tyrannical bead enthusiast wasn't entirely the original owner's fault. Yu Sun was to blame, and so were these butlers and servants. I followed to the detention room. It was a small, windowless dark room. Uncle Zhang opened the door, locked Yu Yanchen inside, and I managed to squeeze in as well. Uncle Zhang was annoyed but let out a cold laugh. Without saying a word, he slammed the door shut with force. I opened my phone, and Yu Yanchen, who had been crying, immediately shut his mouth tightly upon seeing me. I reached out to hold his little hand. He pulled away. I reached out again. He shook it off again. I whispered, "Can I hold your hand? It's so dark here." "I'm really scared." Yu Yanchen fell silent. This time, I took the initiative to grab his hand. He didn't pull away, but turned his head to avoid looking at me. "Why did you follow me? I was worried about you." "You're lying. I'm a bad kid. No one likes me." "Who said that?" "I like you." On my first day here, none of the servants paid any attention to me. Only you talked to me, showed me around, and helped me find clothes. I've never met a child as kind and adorable as you, but I'm picky with food. I've thrown bowls, and I've cursed and hit people. He said it with self-abandonment, yet his tone carried a hint of pleading for acceptance. My heart softened. Just how much criticism must he have endured to think so poorly of himself? I'm picky too. Who isn't? Everyone is picky. It's just that adults only cook what they like and never make what they dislike. They take advantage of kids not knowing how to buy groceries or cook. Deliberately calling children picky eaters. It's really mean. If I were treated like that, I'd throw my bowl, curse, and hit people too. You doing this shows you have a rebellious spirit. You're a kid who won't easily give in. No hardship can defeat you. I really like you so much. Really, adults are picky too. Of course it's true. I don't eat broccoli, for example. Have you ever seen anything Aunt Zhou or Uncle Zhang refuse to eat? Think carefully. You must have noticed. If there's a certain dish that never appears on your dining table, it's definitely because Aunt Zhou or Uncle Zhang won't eat it. I opened the grocery shopping app to show him the vegetables. His tender fingers slowly slid downward, and his eyes instantly lit up. Bitter melon never appeared, and neither did endive. I understand. When we get out, we'll make them eat bitter melon every day. Okay. He brightened up and moved a little closer to me. I patted his little head. And he froze for a moment, turning slightly with a hint of shyness. Suddenly, he said, "But yesterday you said I was that kind of kid. Am I a bad kid?" "Huh, you little rascal, you actually remembered it till today." I laughed and said, "Of course not. What I meant was that only children who've done something wrong get called by their full names by their parents. You haven't done anything wrong. So of course I don't want to call you by your full name. I just want to call you by your nickname." Yu Yanchen's lips quickly curled up into a smile, then awkwardly pressed back down. He casually remarked, "My mom calls me Chen Chen." "All right, Chen Chen. My name is Zhang Lily. You can call me Sister Lily or Auntie Lily." We sat side by side for a while. I felt that waiting like this wasn't the solution. The environment here was oppressive, and the air was stifling. I couldn't bear to imagine how Yu Yanchen had endured being locked in here countless times. Anyone who locks a 7-year-old child in here is a pervert. I suppressed my anger and called Yu Sun, but no one answered, and when I called again, the line was busy. I stared at the phone as if I'd seen a ghost. Has Yu Sun blocked me? Yu Yanchen snorted coldly. It's no use, Mom can't get through to him either. Even when Mom was sick, he wouldn't answer the phone. I was momentarily speechless. Yu Yanchen's mother was a hopeless romantic who ended up marrying Yu Sun by a twist of fate. After marriage, Yu Sun only gave her money, but what she truly wanted was love. One chased, while the other fled. In the end, Yu Yanchen's mother fell ill and passed away far too soon. After her death, Yu Sun was lost for a while, then met the original host and quickly married this gold-digging woman who resembled Yu Yanchen's mother. I don't know what illness her mother had or how exactly she died, but I do know that for a child to watch their mother die alone, with no sign of their father, must have been a very painful experience. No wonder Yu Yanchen later sent Yu Sun to a mental hospital and refused all visitation rights. That was the greatest kindness he could muster in his lifetime. That day, Yu Yanchen and I spent several hours together in the dark little room. When Uncle Zhang opened the door, the outside light stung my eyes. I reached out to shield Yu Yanchen's eyes. Uncle Zhang behaved with refined manners, yet his eyes held a sharp, cold mockery. How kind of you, madam. However, you'd better take care of yourself first. I've already reported today's incident to the master. He instructed me that if you interfere again next time, I can lock you up as well. Excellent. Answering the butler's call but not mine, the original owner was probably just a decorative piece that Yu Sun married into the household. I glared at him coldly and walked out, holding the already asleep Yu Yanchen in my arms. But Uncle Zhang abruptly pulled Yu Yanchen out of my embrace and set him down on the floor. Yu Yanchen, drowsily awakened, could barely stand steady, rubbing his eyes. He glared angrily at Uncle Zhang. Uncle Zhang said with a serious expression, "Young master, you're already 7 years old. You need to learn to be independent. You can't keep asking adults to carry you, especially not women." Anger flared up from the depths of my heart. Now I finally understand why the grown-up Yu Yanchen was known as the aloof and untouchable Buddhist monk. No women allowed. It's because someone taught him from childhood to look down on women, to trample on them. Trying to reason with such a toxic person would be an insult to reason itself. I quickened my pace to a nearby table, grabbed a vase, and hurled it fiercely at Uncle Zhang. In my rage, my aim was exceptionally accurate. Uncle Zhang's head split open, blood slowly trickling down his forehead. He stared at me in disbelief, as if unable to comprehend that a newcomer like me would dare challenge his authority. I sneered, "Oh, go ahead and complain to Yushuan, tell him I hit you, or call the police. See if he'll keep a long-time employee like you after you've embarrassed the Yu family, or you can hit me back. Just make sure you don't kill me, because if you don't, I'll go straight to the media and drag the Yu family's name through the mud. Then we'll see whether Yushuan fires you or divorces me. I've figured it out. The position of Mrs. Yu is already mine. Getting a marriage certificate is easy, but obtaining a divorce certificate is far harder. This household can only have one person in charge. If I compromise, I'll just end up like the original owner, colluding with them. But I refuse. They only have two choices, either listen to me or get lost." Uncle Zhang's face darkened, his eyes fixed on me like an enraged beast. I picked up Yu Yanchen again and slowly walked toward the gate. Uncle Zhang stopped me with a grim expression. "Madam, where are you taking the young master?" I scoffed, staring at him with a half-smile, saying nothing, just staring. A gaze is a form of power, a stare is a threat. If I truly answered him, it would give him the opportunity to refute me. I say nothing, letting him stew in his own thoughts first, allowing him to become unsettled on his own. Sure enough, Uncle Zhang gritted his teeth and said, "Madam, I don't mean anything by it. No matter what you're thinking, behave yourself. I made Yushuan marry me, and I can make him fire you too. Don't believe me, just try." My phone fell in the room. "Go get it for me," I commanded without hesitation. Uncle Zhang didn't move. I sneered, "Can't I order you around, you old employee?" Uncle Zhang turned to fetch it, seizing the opportunity. I kicked him in the butt, sending him tumbling into the dark room, then shut the door. Frantic knocking sounds came from inside. However, the door was soundproofed, so the sound that came through was already very faint. Yu Yanchen's eyes widened, sparkling with excitement, but he said, Is this okay? Are you happy? Happy. But this isn't right. Mom said we shouldn't treat others like this. Yu Yanchen's mind was clearly in chaos. Her mother was a kind-hearted romantic fool. Apart from chasing after Yusun and getting herself killed, she didn't do anything evil, so the child she raised even felt bad about seeking revenge on others. I blinked my eyes and turned into a delicate little tea leaf. But, he bullied us, he locked us up for hours, I'm tired and hungry, and he looks down on women. Do you think what he said was right? No, exactly. When children do wrong, adults punish them. He did wrong, so we punish him. That's fair, isn't it? Yes. Yu Yanchen was convinced. He became calm and composed, or perhaps deep down he had thought about seeking revenge on Uncle Zhang countless times, but had never found any supporters. Today, with my help, he was able to release the anger buried in his heart. I think this is great. I had a servant notify everyone that the villa would be closed for 3 days. Everyone left happily. Only Aunt Zhou, the cook, suspiciously asked why Uncle Zhang wasn't there. I looked at her coldly. Do you need something from him? But it was always old Zhang who informed us about these things. I looked at her with a faint smile. So you're saying you listen to old Zhang but not me? Does old Zhang pay your salary? I just told old Zhang something, and now I'll tell you too. If I have the ability to make you Xu and marry me, I also have the ability to make him fire you. Think carefully about who owns this house. Aunt Zhou left with a grim expression, packing her things. Yu Yanchen was a bit worried. Lily Jia, Dad trusts Aunt Zhou and Uncle Zhang a lot. They'll tattle, and Dad will give you trouble. Let him find us first. I packed a few clothes, pulled out a suitcase, placed Yu Yanchen on top of it, and wheeled him out the door. He probably had never experienced sitting on a suitcase before, looking quite stiff the whole time. His slender fingers gripped the suitcase handle tightly, trying hard to sit upright, afraid of falling off and losing face. I feel like laughing a little, but mostly my heart aches. Has Mom ever taken you on a trip? No, Mom always waits at home for Dad. This seems to be the mindset of someone obsessed with love, unable to reach the other person by phone. They guard this home, afraid that leaving might mean missing their return, yet in reality, the other person has no intention of coming back, afraid that returning would mean being entangled again. Days pass in self-inflicted exhaustion. In the end, you set others free while wearing yourself down to death. Only a pitiful child remains, motherless, unloved by their father, crushed and twisted into something broken. Big sister will take you on a trip. Hold on tight, steady now. I pushed the suitcase and ran forward. Yu Yanchen burst into giggles. The little milky voice sounded oddly pleasant. I called a taxi, withdrew some cash, booked a discounted hotel on Xianyu, had someone else check in for me using their ID, and then moved in with Yu Yanchen. I did this mainly to avoid being easily found by Yusun. Since Yusun doesn't want to answer my calls, then fine, he'll be the one panicking later. Over the next few days, I took Yu Yanchen to visit famous attractions in the city and its surrounding areas. We rode carousels, visited the ocean park, sampled local delicacies, soaked in hot springs, had water fights, and hiked mountains. Having the time of our lives. During this time, Yusun's assistant called me. I answered, asked for the assistant's name, noted it down clearly, told him to find time to release Uncle Zhang, and then blocked him. Finally, Yusun decided to call me himself. I let him experience being rejected a few times and made him listen to the dial tone, completely dissipating the frustration in my heart. Yu Yanchen seemed a bit worried. He glanced at me again and again, and finally couldn't help but ask, Lily Jijia, aren't you afraid of Dad? No. Is he scary? Yu Yanchen fell silent. Mom was terrified of Dad. He'd come home without saying a word, frowning the moment he saw her. This is emotional abuse. As a child, Yu Yanchen clearly disliked his father's behavior, yet as he grew up, he became exactly like him. Even worse, emotional abuse, disrespect, distrust, stubbornness, self-centeredness, only to regret it all in the end. So, women, choosing a good father for your child is the most precious love you can give them. I ruffled his fluffy little head. So you have to smile at me often from now on. At home, you're the only one I know, and everyone else bullies me. Your dad won't even answer my calls. If you don't talk to me and treat me coldly, I'll be so sad my heart will break. I promise to smile at you every day, he said solemnly, his little face serious. I quickly extended my pinky finger. Then let's pinky promise. Yu Yanchen was a bit confused. He hesitantly stretched out his finger, and I actively hooked mine with his. Chanting, "Pinky promise, 100 years no changing," aloud, but my heart couldn't help but sink. He didn't even know how to do this. He was already a first-grade kid. How on earth did he spend his time at school? Just then, a cold, stern voice, barely containing its anger, sounded behind me. "Zhang Lily, what are you doing?" I looked up and saw Yu Sun. Humph. The person who said they'd be on a business trip for 3 months actually came back in just 4 days. That was one quick business trip. Yu Sun and I returned home. Uncle Zhang appeared sincere on the surface, but his gloomy eyes were ready to pull Yu Yanchen over. I slapped his hand away. "I remember my father-in-law's surname is Yu, not Zhang. I don't have the habit of randomly acknowledging fathers. Nor do I like people lecturing me on manners anytime, anywhere." The forced smile on Uncle Zhang's face nearly cracked. He said with grace and sincerity, "Madam, it's my fault. You're absolutely right." His politeness only made me seem more aggressive, but I couldn't care less. Yu Sun and I had just held a grand wedding. If we divorced right after getting married, it would be the Yu family's reputation that suffered. So, I'll do whatever I want, without caring about Yu Xuan. I can live an incredibly good life. I pulled Yu Yanchen to sit on the sofa, crossed my legs, and looked at him with a half-smile. "Uncle Zhang, you weren't this polite the other day. Should I remind you? You told me to know my place, to work hard to please the master, and to secure my footing in the Yu family first. You even said that after 20 years in the Yu family, you are the rules here. I don't think even my father-in-law would speak to me like that." I thought marrying into the Yu family meant marrying into wealth, but who knew the wealthy CEO actually has 2 dads? TSK. I was cursing Uncle Zhang with my mouth, but my eyes were fixed on Yu Sun. Yu Sun's face was as dark as if it could drip water. He's a master of the silent treatment, terrible at arguing. On the way back just now, though clearly furious like a storm brewing, he refused to say a single word. In the past, Yu Yanchen's mother feared him and adored him. Willing to endure hardship herself rather than see him unhappy, without saying a word, he could effortlessly secure a comfortable living environment for himself. But not anymore. Mimi's father doesn't love his cold demeanor. If he doesn't talk to me, he'll just end up making himself furious. Uncle Zhang broke out in a cold sweat. "Sir, I never said such a thing. I only wanted Madam to adapt to the Yu family's life as soon as possible. I absolutely never claimed to be the embodiment of the Yu family's rules." "Then check the surveillance footage. Let's see whether I'm mistaken or you are." Uncle Zhang's expression remained unchanged, but a flicker of panic flashed in his eyes. His lips tightened, and suddenly he conceded. "If my wife says so, then I must have done something wrong to upset her. I apologize, my dear, I'm sorry. Talking like that makes you sound so aggrieved and makes me seem unreasonable." "Yu Sun, your wife has been labeled as unreasonable and power-abusing, and you just stand by and watch. If that's the case, I might as well take our son and move out. After all, I'm just a nuisance here, always having to follow the Yu family's rules. Before I married into this family, you never told me that the butler runs the household. Even your wife has to listen to him. If you'd made that clear earlier, you might as well have married the butler. What was the point of marrying me? TCH. I rolled my eyes so hard they nearly flew out of my head, my face full of disdain. Yu Yanchen watched me with admiration, torn between laughter and restraint. Facing me, he forced a smile, but when he glanced at Yu Xuan, the smile collapsed again. Then he looked at Uncle Zhang, and an involuntary eye roll escaped. I was nearly dying of laughter. Reaching out, I ruffled his little head and pulled his hand over to count his fingers. Such soft little hands. Yu Xuan's face turned ashen. He lowered his gaze and shot me a cold glare, saying indifferently, "Go check the surveillance footage." The surveillance was pulled up, but the assistant was in a hurry and only reviewed the footage from the day I first arrived at the Yu household. As a result, instead of seeing Uncle Zhang say, "I am the rules of the Yu family," I witnessed Aunt Zhang returning to the villa to release Uncle Zhang from the dark room. With the two embracing and sharing a kiss, my eyes widened in shock. And I instinctively covered Yu Yanchen's eyes. Uncle Zhang's face turned ashen. Aunt Zhou looked both embarrassed and annoyed. Yu Sun said coldly, "You're fired, TCH, you're fired." The domineering CEO is just that simple and brutal, thinking firing is enough. But I, with my strong sense of vengeance, didn't see it that way. Wait, keep watching. As I continued watching, I saw Uncle Zhang and Aunt Zhou discussing how to deal with me and Yu Yanchen once we returned. The most crucial line was, Song Yihuan was a wealthy heiress, yet we still trained her like a dog. This one is just a gold digger. Once she can't keep up the act anymore, she'll suffer. Let's tolerate her for a few days first. Song Yihuan is Yu Yanchen's mother, the heiress of the Song family, a perfect match for Yu Sun in terms of social status. Yu Yanchen suddenly jumped up and started hitting Uncle Zhang. You all ganged up to bully my mom. You deserve to die. Die. I'll beat you to death. Yu Sun was as if struck by lightning, instinctively wanting to pull Yu Yanchen away. I grabbed him and said coldly, let Chen Chen vent for a while. They killed his mother. He has every right to feel emotions, to seek revenge, not to be emotionless and desireless. If you can't control your own emotions now and allow him to vent his anger, you shouldn't demand that he suppress his feelings. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Yu Sun's eyes darkened slightly. The Zhang Lily I knew couldn't articulate so many principles. The core had changed. The very essence of thought was different. The only two things in common are, both are women, and both love money. I said nonchalantly, oh, I'm the second personality inside her. She was so angry at your act of abandoning your wife and child on your wedding night that she refused to come out. Now, I'm the one holding the fort for her. You spent money once and got two completely different wives. What a steal. Yu Sun probably had never met someone like me, who spouts nonsense without batting an eye. His gaze was as deep as a dark river, turbulent beneath the surface yet calm on the outside. Finally, Uncle Zhang couldn't hold back any longer and was about to shake off Yu Yanchen. Yu Sun's two bodyguards restrained him. Yu Yanchen was exhausted from fighting. He was crying hysterically, his face flushed red, standing there all alone like a solitary sapling, fragile and helpless. With the vast sky above and an impending storm, having no one to rely on, suddenly, I began to understand him a little. A child raised with affection would seek a comforting embrace at such a moment, yet he simply stood there, perhaps knowing deep down that no one would hold him close. I stepped forward and gently wrapped my arms around him. He struggled to push me away, as if venting his frustration. I didn't lose heart and continued to hold him tightly, letting him cry in my arms. Chen Chen. Be good, you're the best, cry if you want to. I know you're a little man who wants to protect mommy and avenge her. Our Chen Chen is the best child in the world. Mommy would be so happy and proud of you if she knew. Yu Yanchen nestled into my arms like a pitiful little puppy. Yu Sun frowned deeply, clearly disapproving of this behavior. But he held back and didn't say anything. After a long while, Yu Yanchen cried himself to exhaustion and fell asleep. I carried him into the room and tucked him in. I knew it was now my turn to argue with Yu Sun. Closing the door and stepping out of the room, Yu Sun's first words were, you can't spoil Yu Yanchen like this. What's wrong with you? Is normal psychological comfort called pampering? No wonder he ended up being sent to a mental hospital. Damn old man. Serves him right. I ignored him and instead gave instructions to Yu Sun's assistant, Xiao Yang. Don't let old Zhang and Aunt Zhou leave yet. The accounts aren't settled. Check the surveillance footage to see how many times old Zhang punished Chen Chen with confinement, and look into Aunt Zhou's cooking. See if she deliberately made dishes with green beans and greens knowing Chen Chen dislikes them, and check what they themselves ate. Interrogate them thoroughly about how they treated Chen Chen's mother, Song Yihuan. In the past, Xiao Yang's eyes lit up with excitement, but he hesitated, unsure if he should agree. He glanced at Yu Sun and, seeing no objection, finally nodded and left. I took a sip of tea, exhaled contentedly, and then gave Yu Sun a helpless look. What did you just say? That I shouldn't spoil the child? How miserable must your own childhood have been for you to think comforting a child counts as pampering? That one sentence probably stirred up a hornet's nest. Yu Sun's cold eyes were like frost as he reached out, grabbed my wrist, and pulled me upstairs. My inner thoughts, Coco, out loud. Hey, damn it, is Yu Xuan playing the red-eyed, neck-grabbing domineering CEO role? Scary, this pretty boy doesn't know Sanda, martial arts, or taekwondo. He dragged me into a room, shut the door, pinned me against the wall, and reached out to choke my neck. Me, bullseye, he choked me until my eyes rolled back. And I couldn't help but knee him in retaliation. Before I could land the hit, Yu Sun released me, gasping for breath while clutching my neck. My throat burned with pain, my vocal cords must have been injured, my mind was in chaos. yet I still had to endure his outrageous ranting. Zhang Lily, you've been too indulgent these past few days. Now that you're Mrs. You should know your place and do your duty. If you act recklessly, don't blame me for being harsh. I'll let it slide this time since you took Yu Yanchen out without permission, but don't let there be a next time, otherwise, your position as Mrs. You will come to an end. Do I make myself clear? My throat hurts, and though my mind is full of retorts, I can't get them out right now. I quickly grabbed a bottle of water from the table, gulped it down in a hurry, then flung the remaining water, splashing it all over Yusun. His eyes were red with fury, his fists clenched as if ready to strike. His jaw set so tight it seemed to creak, his breath ragged yet unable to utter a single word. I struck first, unleashing a torrent of furious words. Yusun, are you out of your mind? What have I done? I saved your son. If it weren't for me, your son would still be locked up, a 7-year-old child locked in a pitch-black room. Have you ever considered whether he might be scared or even go insane? He's forced to eat food he dislikes and do things he hates every day. Have you ever seen a smile on his face? At such a young age, he's already devoid of desires, while you indulge in pleasures, partying every night, doing whatever you want and going wherever you please. He grew up to be 7 years old, riding a carousel for the first time, visiting the ocean park for the first time, soaking in a hot spring for the first time. What have you done as a father? Joining the accomplices to blame him, punish him, isolate him, making him feel like a bad kid. An unloved child who can be bullied at will. I've taken such good care of your son, you should be giving me a bonus, not choking me, you psycho. I cursed with such exhilaration, adrenaline surging wildly, feeling that if Yusun dared to retort, I could go toe-to-toe with him for 300 rounds. Yet, Yusun only uttered one icy sentence. This is how I grew up, the Yu family's rules are like this. I was stunned. So, insanity is hereditary. Sins are passed down through generations until a brave soul destroys them. It seems that Yu Yanchen, who jumped into the sea as an adult, was actually the brave one who ended all the sins. Suddenly, I didn't even have the energy to scold Yusun anymore. I only felt pity for my predecessor, Song Yihuan, who grew up surrounded by love. She probably never imagined that she was marrying into a family of lunatics with a heart full of love. I sneered, just because you got wet in the rain. You have to tear Yanchen's umbrella. If you truly believe in this philosophy, you must love your parents very much, right? Why didn't they come to your wedding? Yusun's face darkened as if it could drip with gloom. He slammed the door and left. I scoffed, only then remembering that I couldn't find even a trace of information about Yusun's parents in the original host's memories. I immediately checked my phone contacts and WeChat friends to see who I could ask. I found a girl named Meng Yao. This is the original owner's friend, the one who initially introduced her to high-end cocktail parties, step by step leading her to meet Yusun and eventually marry him. I poked Meng Yao, trying to get some information about Yusun's parents. A reply came quickly from the other side. Oh, so the Mrs. You finally remembers me now. I thought you'd already married into wealth and looked down on your poor, shabby friend. Where would I have any connections or resources? Such high-end gossip is beyond me. You'd better find someone else for that. Oh, the original owner, once she latched onto Yusun, afraid that he might uncover her past of flirting with wealthy men, decisively deleted or blocked all her former friends. Meng Yao was someone I had just unblocked from my contacts. Without batting an eye, I transferred 10,000 over. Think I'm some beggar to be brushed off with this. I gritted my teeth and transferred another 50,000, in novels. Money seems worthless. The rich kids casually spend millions with a wave of their hands. My mindset hasn't caught up yet, and losing 60,000 feels like my heart is bleeding. Meng Yao ignored me for a while before sending a long string of messages, only then accepting the money. Your payment only covers this much information. That's all, Mrs. You, sigh. The original owner was so extravagant, casually discarding such an openly priced, straightforward, and honest best friend. What a waste. I checked the messages, feeling a bit schadenfreude. Yusun's parents were thrown into a nursing home by him. The conditions at the nursing home weren't great, and the elderly couple spent their days and nights hoping their son would come take them out, unfortunately. Yusun never went even once. This matter wasn't exactly top secret, but no one dared to mention it in front of Yusun. I couldn't help but want to laugh, but as I laughed, the laughter gradually died away. So Yu Yanchen is really similar to Yusun. He detested his father, yet ultimately followed in his footsteps. I now deeply agree with a saying, if a child in a family is depressed, they are likely the least ill person in the entire household. The real patient in this family is Yusun. Yusun is a mature and domineering CEO. His mindset won't change overnight. Moreover, I don't like the concept of redemption either, because the term redemption places oneself in the position of a superior, a savior, someone privileged and compassionate. Hidden behind it is a desire for control, an unequal relationship. I don't believe everyone likes redemption, nor would I arrogantly think I can redeem others. I can only lend a hand to help others find the strength to walk out of the darkness themselves. I can accompany Yu Yanchen as he grows up, instilling in him the right values and giving him the strength to break free from the quagmire of the Yu family. But as for Yu Sun, I can do nothing to help. After a long day, dinner was prepared by another servant, without any green vegetables or peas. Yu Yanchen ate with great relish. I also ate with great relish. Yu Sun glanced at us expressionlessly, tasting the food with noble elegance, but after one bite, he frowned. Oh, I personally served the meal and put mustard in his food, since he believes people shouldn't be picky eaters. I hope he practices what he preaches. Yusun frowned as he finished the bowl of rice, opening his mouth as if to say something to the servant. I exaggeratedly praised Yu Yanchen. Our Chin is so amazing, not picky at all, unlike Daddy, who left so much food uneaten despite being such a grown-up. Back when Chin couldn't finish his food, Aunt Zhou and Uncle Zhang would lock him in the dark room. I wonder if Daddy will get locked in the dark room too. Yusun furrowed his brows slightly and finished the food without a word. Uncle Zhang and Aunt Zhou looked grim, sitting on pins and needles. When the assistant questioned them, they adamantly denied doing anything to Song Yihuan. For now, they could only wait for the surveillance footage to be reviewed. So the two remained at the Yu residence. Before them were bitter melon, endive, sour bamboo shoots, fermented bean juice, and fish mint. I chuckled. Eat up. Why aren't you eating? If you're so picky, what right do you have to lecture children, preaching one thing and doing another? Quite hypocritical, aren't we? Finish this today, and we'll talk. If you don't, you'll be spending time in the dark room. Adults should lead by example. Uncle Zhang sneered coldly, picked up his chopsticks, and ate the bitter melon, endive, and sour bamboo shoots without changing his expression. When he drank the fermented mung bean juice, he couldn't help but spit it out. Aunt Zhou, on the other hand, vomited at the hurdle of fishy-smelling grass. Both of their faces turned pitch black. Under the watchful eyes of the bodyguard, Uncle Zhang entered the dark room. Aunt Zhou was forced to finish all the dishes, then clung to the toilet bowl, vomiting violently. Yu Yanchen's eyes sparkled. Lily Jijia. It's true, even adults are picky eaters. Yes, so it's absolutely not your fault. If anyone ever criticizes you for being picky again, it just shows how narrow-minded they are. Just ignore them. As I spoke, I glanced sideways at Yusun. He finished his meal without changing his expression, then looked at Yu Yanchen and said sternly, "Why are you calling her sister? She's your mother." Yusun, stop right there. You're getting older and might not understand how young people talk these days. I like it when Chin calls me sister. I'm still young, only 25 this year, unlike you who's already 35. Zhang Lily, Yusun's eyes gleamed with a dangerous light. I'm not afraid of him at all. After dinner, I took Yu Yanchen to wash up, then snuggled with him in bed reading books. I explained gender concepts to him, chatting about everything under the sun, just random, carefree conversation. I asked him what activity he'd enjoyed most these past few days. Where do you plan to go next time? Which places have the kids in their class been to? When it comes to the class, Yu Yanchen clearly speaks less. Feeling reassured, I changed the subject, coaxed him to sleep, and then fell asleep myself. In the middle of the night, I suddenly woke up, remembering there was still work left undone. I found a sash, tiptoed to push open the door to Yushuan's room, crept to his bedside, and by the faint light, draped the sash around his neck, then pulled it tight. Yushuan jolted awake abruptly, sat up quickly, and grabbed the sash with both hands, pulling hard. I summoned all my strength and refused to let go. He was strangled until his eyes rolled back, his whole appearance utterly disheveled. I released my grip on his collar just as he was about to pass out, quickly stepping aside and turning on the light. Yusun clutched his throat, gasping for air. His bloodshot eyes stared at me in disbelief as he rasped out in fury, "Zhang Lily, you're insane, Yusun. Let me tell you this, if you ever dare to choke me again, you'd better not close your eyes when you sleep at night. The moment you do, I'll get my revenge. I don't work during the day anyway, so I have all the time in the world to fight you, I threatened fiercely, my eyes filled with seriousness. Yusun widened his eyes, his face full of disbelief. With a cold expression, he turned over and got up, afraid he might hit me. I quickly slipped into another room. I heard him put on his coat, leave the room angrily, stomp down the stairs, and drive away. The roar of the car engine was especially loud in the night. I leaned against the window and shouted, "You don't have to come back, but remember to send the living expenses every month, otherwise, don't blame me for selling off everything valuable in the house." Yusun opened the car door, got out, and angrily kicked a tree before turning back to drive away in a cloud of dust. I let out a sigh of relief. With that lunatic gone, I could finally sleep in peace. Happy days pass by quickly. Every day, I get back at Uncle Zhang and Aunt Zhou a little, take Yu Yanchen out to have fun, and when I run out of money, I just squeeze some cash out of Yusun. He hands over the money without a word, never saying anything to me. This is perfect. All I need is a living, barely their husband who can cough up cash, saving me the trouble of dealing with him. On a day in early August, Yusun returned, his face dark and as cold as ice. Because Assistant Xiao Yang had compiled the surveillance footage from the past 3 months, revealing several shocking conclusions. First, over the entire 3 months, Uncle Zhang had used various Yu family rules as excuses to lock Yu Yanchen in the confinement room 45 times. Each session lasting 1 to 2 hours. Second, Aunt Zhou cooked based on her mood. If she won at mahjong that day, she would make Yu Yanchen's favorite dishes. If she lost, she would deliberately prepare food Yu Yanchen disliked, finding satisfaction in his misfortune. The most unfortunate one was Yu Xianchen's mother, Song Yihuan. By questioning other servants in the villa, Yu Sun learned that Uncle Zhang and Aunt Zhou particularly enjoyed seeing Song Yihuan embarrassed. They would tell Song Yihuan that Yu Sun was coming home. Song Yihuan would personally cook, happily preparing a table full of dishes, waiting obediently for Yu Sun. When dinner time arrived, Uncle Zhang would pretend to receive a phone call and regretfully say that Yu Sun had called to say he wouldn't be coming back. Song Yihuan's heart was filled with joy, only to be met with disappointment. As she looked at the lavish spread of dishes on the table, tears welled up in her eyes. In the end, the feast ended up in the stomachs of Uncle Zhang and Aunt Zhou, while she herself went hungry, stubbornly starving herself until she developed stomach problems, and eventually, stomach cancer. In fact, the cure rate for early-stage stomach cancer is quite high, but at that time, she probably felt utterly hopeless about life, stubbornly dragging herself to death. There were many similar incidents. To sum it up, it was about giving Song Yihuan hope, only to shatter it later. Anyone else would have long realized that Uncle Zhang and Aunt Zhou had ill intentions, but Song Yihuan happened to be a textbook case of someone blinded by love. To make matters worse, Yu Sun never answered her calls. Communication between them had always been relayed through Uncle Zhang. Yu Sun angrily reached out to strangle Uncle Zhang, but for some reason, he clenched his fist at the last moment and punched Uncle Zhang in the face instead. He gave Uncle Zhang a brutal beating, his own knuckles bleeding from the force. He sat on the sofa, looking down condescendingly at Uncle Zhang, who lay sprawled on the floor like a lump of mud. He asked him why had he done this? Uncle Zhang wiped the blood from the corner of his lips and sneered, "Wasn't it allowed by you, sir? You said she got her position by sleeping her way to the top. What's wrong with us helping you deal with such a shameless woman? Didn't you treat her the same way?" "The fish rots from the head down. We were just following your lead." Yu Sun couldn't utter a single word in response. "I'm so anxious I'm getting worked up. Where's your mouth? Did you fucking sell it or what?" I kicked Uncle Zhang and said coldly, "What nonsense are you spouting? Just because you've been with the Yu family for a long time, you think you're the patriarch now. You want to be Song Yihuan's father. You want to have the final say in the Yu family. But you know you're not qualified. So you deliberately gaslight Song Yihuan into treating your words as gospel. You're just trash. Stop shifting blame everywhere. I haven't offended you, yet you still gave me a hard time right off the bat. If you've got what it takes, make Yu Sun acknowledge you as his father. Otherwise, admit you're just mentally twisted, playing daddy wherever you go." Uncle Zhang and Aunt Zhou were each locked in solitary confinement for 3 days. Taking the law into your own hands is wrong. But I pretended not to see it. As the ancients said, ignorance is bliss. 3 days later, the two were sent to the police station. The Yu family's legal team was preparing to sue them for abuse, gathering various pieces of evidence to secure a minimum sentence of 2 years and a maximum of 7. Yu Yanchen was very pleased. His mood had clearly brightened considerably. I want to go see Mom and tell her this good news. I took him to Song Yihuan's gravesite, where we laid a bouquet of pure white roses. Cheerfully, he spoke innocently to the radiant, beautiful girl in the photo on the tombstone. Mom, it was Grandpa Zhang and Grandma Zhou who deceived you, not Dad ignoring you. Dad actually never lied to you. Mom, can you hear me? Mom, tears quietly streamed down his face. I stood behind him, resting my hands on his shoulders, quietly gazing back at Yushuan, who was dressed in a black shirt, his entire demeanor gloomy and despondent. Upon hearing the child's words, a flicker of emotion flashed in his eyes, but he quickly lowered his gaze, his thoughts unreadable. On the way back, Yu Yanchen cried himself to exhaustion and fell asleep. As usual, I carried him home, but Yushuan took the child from my arms, carried him upstairs, laid him on the bed, removed his shoes, and tucked him in. Yusun treated the child like a father for the first time, and he didn't seem unfamiliar with it, as if he had practiced many times. I turned to leave. Yusun called out to me, "Can I talk to you?" I thought about it and nodded in agreement. I would still need Yusun to provide financial support in the future, and while I was helping him develop the right values, I also hoped he wouldn't cause trouble, so it was necessary to have a talk with him. We went to the courtyard. There were lounge chairs, and the servants served tea. The sun was setting. A gentle breeze was blowing. It was the coolest and most relaxing time of the day. Yusun said calmly, "When I was a child, my parents were very strict with me. Their marriage was troubled, but both were strong-willed individuals, unable to demand complete compliance from each other. They instead demanded absolute obedience from me. If I failed at something, they would punish me, locking me in confinement or whipping me. That wasn't the worst part. The most terrifying thing was when their demands directly contradicted each other. Obeying one would inevitably offend the other, and I could never escape punishment. When I was little, Uncle Zhang and Aunt Zhou secretly treated me well, and I always trusted them deeply. In my heart, I wished countless times that Uncle Zhang and Aunt Zhou could have been my parents, but unfortunately, they weren't. My real parents were my biological ones. I was just a product for them to inherit the family business. They had no love for each other. As I grew up, I came to despise them. Despise arranged marriages, and even despise my own body, covered as it was with scars from whippings, hideously ugly. Song Yihuan is a wonderful girl, but she crossed two of my red lines. Our marriage was an alliance between wealthy families. The first time we met was under the influence of traditional Chinese medicine, and it wasn't a pleasant experience. I felt like a beast, and when I woke up, I felt filthy. I couldn't accept myself like that. But my parents were overjoyed because they were the ones who drugged us, and Song Yihuan was the daughter-in-law they had chosen. I agreed to marry her, but the day after the wedding, I drugged them and sent them to a nursing home. I married Song Yihuan, but I don't know how to face her. Every time I see her, I'm reminded of my own disgusting self, but I never thought of harming her. Sometimes I avoid facing my child too. The moment I remember he's just another product of a family-arranged marriage like me, I feel furious inside. You're right, I'm shirking responsibility. Instead of facing him properly, I used crude and simple methods to raise him. I'm not a good father. Zhang Lily, thank you for taking care of Chen Chen these days. He's become much more cheerful with you around. I hope when he grows up, he won't be like me. A melancholic mood swirls in the wind, and I catch the scent of his sorrow. I don't know what to say. A child who has never received love will forever doubt their own existence. Even when love is placed right before them, they'll suspect and loathe it, believing themselves unworthy of such beauty. Then they'll act out, make trouble, ultimately destroying the love, only to regret it bitterly later. People may ultimately become what they despise the most. It's truly regrettable, but being pitiful doesn't make it right. Yushuan, do you know what is the most feared thing in raising a child? What? In the process of raising your child, you've come to accept the very parenting methods you once despised from your own parents. The moment you start believing that the ways they treated you weren't wrong, you'll feel justified in applying them to your own child. Eventually, you become your parents. And if your son internalizes this mindset, he too will one day become you. This is the most terrifying aspect of parenting. It influences a person's subconscious. making them accept what's wrong as natural. If you don't change, Chen Chen will one day become just like you. He's only 7 now, with endless possibilities ahead. If you're already broken, you shouldn't break him too. I sighed softly and stood up to leave. Whose life isn't full of cracks and flaws? Who isn't constantly patching things up? Everyone has their own hardships, but hardships are not a reason for wrongdoing to be automatically forgiven. Wrong is wrong, and punishment is deserved, no matter how pitiful, tragic, or lovable someone may be. It doesn't justify reckless wrongdoing or serve as a free pass to escape consequences. That day, Yu Sun sat in the garden for a long time, likely feeding quite a few mosquitoes. At first, I lay in bed, unable to fall asleep. But soon I let myself off the hook, realizing I couldn't solve any of Yu Sun's problems, and so I fell asleep with peace of mind. The next day, to my surprise, I saw Yu Sun at the dining table. He nodded at me and sat down to eat breakfast. He ate with great relish and quickly. I remembered I woke up late today and forgot to put mustard in his food. What a pity. After finishing his meal, Yu Xuan pushed a delicate box towards me, saying it was a gift for me. With that, as if chased by a ghost, he quickly got up and hurried off to work. I opened the box and saw a dazzling necklace with a large sapphire in the center, surrounded by sparkling diamonds. So beautiful, my heart was pounding wildly. I quickly took a photo and sent it to Meng Yao, asking her what kind of necklace it was and how much it cost. Did your husband give this to you? Why didn't he fancy me back then? You got lucky. The Blue Beauty diamond necklace, just auctioned recently, worth 50 million. You must be over the moon. Don't forget the service fee you're charging for this. If you hadn't blocked me, I might have waived it, but now you're the one begging. Got it, sis. I transferred 10,000 over. Amid Meng Yao's stream of curses, I quickly closed her chat window, too scared to ever look at her messages again. I brought out the sapphire and showed it to Yu Yanchen. His eyes darkened. Lily, if one day Dad runs out of money, will you still be good to me? I think this is the perfect time to instill a proper view of money in Yu Yanchen, so he doesn't grow up thinking that every woman who approaches him is after his wealth, and stops misunderstanding and mistreating the female lead so casually. I crouched down and looked at him seriously. Yu Yanchen, I'm calling you by your full name now, not because you've done something wrong, but because there's something very important I need to discuss with you. So, I want you to listen carefully. You've got the cause and effect backwards. Your father gave me the sapphire because I helped and protected you before. He hopes I will continue to do more good things for you in the future, which is why he gave me the sapphire. It's like when an employee in a company does something outstanding that benefits the company, so the company rewards them with a bonus. This is a normal reward mechanism. If one day you do something right, I will also consider rewarding you accordingly, encouraging you to do more good things. But if the bonus is given first, with the expectation that I will do more things to benefit you, that would be a bribery and buying relationship. It is the expectation that through money, I would restrain my temper, control my desires, even distort my moral values, to do things that benefit you. Such behavior is what is unsustainable, what you should be worried about. But I am not like that. You must remember, I am not like that. From the moment I arrived at the Yu family and saw you for the first time, I liked you very much. Even if your father didn't give me a single penny, as long as I remain your stepmother, I would find a way to provide for you and care for you, even if I weren't your stepmother. And even if your father went bankrupt one day, I would still find a way to help you apply for social welfare and make sure you're settled. Our relationship isn't about benefits, it's about emotions. We pinky promised, you'd protect me, and I'd protect you, helping you grow up healthy and strong. That includes praising you when you do right, but also reminding you to correct mistakes when you're wrong. The relationship with money isn't like that. If the other person sees you making a mistake, they might not say anything out of fear of offending you. You lose the chance to correct yourself, and you might keep making mistakes, turning a small error into a big one until it's beyond repair. So, I hope you approach friendships the same way. Don't try to buy people's loyalty with money. I want you to make friends with sincerity. You might encounter people who aren't entirely genuine, but don't be afraid, just walk away. That's completely normal because not everyone understands these principles. But I hope you have good luck, meet sincere friends, and build a genuine friendship. Yu Yanchen seemed to have taken my words to heart. He ate obediently, glancing at me from time to time. When he noticed me looking, he would raise his head and smile. Even while playing with his beads, he would secretly smile to himself. what a lovely child. He seems to be drifting further and further away from the aloof and detached Buddhist monk depicted in the novel. In the afternoon, Assistant Xiao Yang brought in a new cook. The new cook specifically asked about each of our preferences, promising to prepare dishes that everyone would enjoy. I also realized that Yu Yanchen isn't actually that picky, he just dislikes being forced, so he rebels. If you encourage him to try new vegetables more often, he can actually eat them even while frowning. After finishing, he'll tell me he's tried it but still doesn't like it, and I won't push him further. When he finds something he likes, the cook will note down the recipe and make it again next time. I think life is a long journey, and we're bound to encounter various obstacles along the way. When he was little, as a family member, not creating additional difficulties for the child was all it took to be a good parent. At the end of August, Yu Yanchen was about to start school. While helping Yu Yanchen pack his school bag, I realized he hadn't done his homework. My world collapsed. First grade in elementary school actually has summer homework. I always thought first grade was just for having fun. As a new mom, I was completely overwhelmed. In the evening, Yu Xuan came home. He had been traveling less frequently during this period, coming home every day. Though he spoke little, he was trying to change. Xiao Yang, the assistant, once deliberately carried a large stack of books into the study in front of me and made a point of telling me, "Mr. Yu has been reading books on parenting lately. Do you have any recommended books, ma'am?" I haven't read any books. I just occasionally browse parenting videos, giving a second glance to those that catch my interest and swiping past the ones that don't. But I can't tell him that I'm uneducated. A beautiful father must have a smart brain. I calmly said, "No, I trust your judgment. You're so capable. You'll definitely pick good books." Assistant Xiao Yang was visibly happy. Yu Sun studied diligently in the study every day and also paid attention to the situation between me and Yu Yanchen. I deliberately lingered outside his study door for a moment, and he looked up to ask what was wrong. I immediately handed Yu Yanchen's homework to him. "I haven't done any of it. What should I do? School starts the day after tomorrow, and there's no time to finish it now." The assignments were varied: reading, watching movies, exercising, practicing handwriting, keeping a diary, as well as doing crafts, drawing, composing music scores, math calculations, and English workbook exercises. Yu Sun was stunned for a moment. He flipped through the pages, his brows furrowed tightly. "Just tell the teacher we're not doing it." Humph, the boring problem-solving method of a domineering boss. With a wave of the hand, "Just give up. Throwing the problem to the other person is highly irresponsible." To put it this way, this method of solving problems may seem effortless, but it actually harbors hidden dangers. He must maintain his position at the top, because once he falls into a low point, those he has wronged before will unite to crush him. I sneered, "Don't even think about slacking off. I'll assign the tasks. You're responsible for helping Chen Chen with his diary and reading notes. I'll handle the crafts and drawing. Let Chen Chen do the math on his own, and we'll find someone to help with English." The teacher won't check too carefully, just a quick glance. "It's fine if there are mistakes. Just don't make it difficult for the teacher." Yu Sun agreed. I secretly rejoiced. Finally got rid of those annoying diaries and reading notes. At the corner, Yu Yanchen looked at me with sparkling eyes, and I secretly gave him an okay sign. We smiled knowingly, but when Yu Yanchen had to write a diary under Yu Sun's supervision, he almost cried. Yu Sun suppressed his anger. "If you can't write the character, you can use pinyin instead. You don't even know pinyin. You can't spell die. It's not day, it's die." Yu Yanchen, what on earth have you been learning at school? After spending an entire day, Yu Sun finally figured out one thing. His son, the smart and handsome little treasure Chen Chen, is a complete academic underachiever. "I don't want you to teach me anymore. I want Lily's sister," Yu Yanchen cried. "Too late," Yu Sun roared. I spent the entire day, from morning till night, barely managing to finish my homework. The next day was registration, followed immediately by a parent-teacher meeting, and I vaguely sensed a feeling of rejection. After the parent-teacher meeting, I caught up with the teacher to ask about the situation and ultimately came to a shocking conclusion. The other children weren't isolating Yu Yanchen. They were simply too afraid to play with him, because once, a child accidentally pulled off a bead from Yu Yanchen's bracelet. Yu Yanchen raged like a little lion and got into a fight with someone. Afterward, Uncle Zhang handled the matter, threatening the other child's parents. In the end, they came to apologize. but didn't even get to see Yu Sun. From then on, Yu Yanchen was isolated, no one spoke to him, and he didn't speak to anyone either, just sitting at his desk every day fiddling with his beads. When I got home, I told Yu Sun the whole story exactly as it happened, mercilessly mocking him. President Yu is truly impressive, handling countless affairs every day. So busy that you don't even have time to teach your own child about human relationships. With such a packed schedule, you must be making a fortune, right? Yu Sun looked somewhat bewildered. Zhang Lily, what should we do? I went through the same thing myself. Me, Ko. If we trace the origin of every suffering, everyone appears innocent. Therefore, I don't trace origins. I only address the present issue, pay a service fee, and I'll teach you how to do it. I suddenly discovered the benefits of Meng Yao. I learned the essence of her. Yu Sun transferred 1 million to me without hesitation. My heart skipped a beat. Meng Yao is right. I really am stingy. I cleared my throat and told Yu Sun what to do. First, children don't hold grudges for long. It's normal for them to be fine one day and upset the next. Yu Yanchen's current situation can be changed. Second, Teacher's Day is coming up soon. You can start preparing a gift for the teacher. It doesn't need to be expensive, but it should show thoughtfulness, to help the teacher see Yu Yanchen in a better light. Third, buy some novel little things for Yu Yanchen to attract the attention of other children, encouraging them to actively seek him out to play. This also provides an opportunity to teach him how to handle conflicts during the process, as there will inevitably be children he doesn't like who approach him. Fourth, each point was listed one by one. This is what we, as parents, need to do. Yu Sun's furrowed brows gradually relaxed. He thanked me earnestly. Thank you, Lily. I felt strange inside, somewhat uncomfortable with him calling me so intimately. I thought maintaining our relationship at the bursting gold coins level was just fine. As for Yu Yanchen, I asked him seriously, why don't you let others touch your prayer beads? Is it because they belong to your mother? Grandma Zhou once said that if they get damaged, these beads can't be strung together again. We adults always assume that children should know many common things, but in reality, without being taught, children truly don't know or understand. I took Yu Yanchen to the store to buy a lot of beads and brought him back to string them together. Yu Yanchen finally realized that even if the beads were damaged, as long as they weren't completely shattered, they could still be strung together. Even if they were broken, they could be repaired or replaced by a craftsman. I took the opportunity to reinforce his prayer beads for him, ensuring they wouldn't easily break no matter how much they were handled. His heart seemed to finally settle. I started wondering if he was wrong to hit that child. I told him not to dwell on it. It's perfectly normal for people to make mistakes. If you obsess over every single one, you'll drain yourself mentally, like a little turtle carrying a heavy shell. That's no way to go far. We must learn to let go of the past, forgive ourselves, and allow ourselves to make mistakes. Travel light, as long as you remember to do your best not to regret the next thing. That night, Yu Yanchen and I stayed up very late, going through and commenting on every single one of his classmates together. We figured out which kids he liked and which ones he disliked. The next day, I packed a few very pretty erasers for Yu Yanchen, so he could share them with his desk mate. If the opportunity arose, he could also give them to the kids he liked, or if someone forgot their eraser, he could take the initiative to offer one to them. They were just small things, not worth much, but I believe friendship is built bit by bit through these little gestures. The teacher was collecting family information forms in the class group chat this afternoon. I took a quick glance, checking which kids live in the same neighborhood as us or nearby, planning to arrange a chance encounter for Yu Yanchen, but my plan fell apart on the very first day. Yu Yanchen spent the entire day at his desk, fiddling with his beads, in the photos the teacher took, while other kids were running and playing during break. He was the only one sitting at his desk, head bowed, quietly rolling his prayer beads. I felt a bit discouraged, but soon cheered up again. I was a bit presumptuous. Encountering difficulties is perfectly normal. I need to patiently wait for a flower to bloom, rather than frantically demanding immediate results. That would be too utilitarian. I took him to play downstairs. I decided to let him first get used to interacting with other children, no matter where they're from. Only with successful experiences will he gradually take the first step. I brought a super big bubble blower. As soon as the small fan blew, countless bubbles floated out, and immediately children came over to pop them. With more and more people gathering, I handed the bubble blower to Yu Yanchen. he instantly became the coolest kid in the crowd, with many children chasing after him, waiting for him to blow more bubbles. After blowing bubbles, some children had already invited Yu Yanchen to play together. Yu Yanchen glanced at me shyly. And upon seeing my encouraging smile, he finally ran over and joined the child who had called him. They played hide and seek, chasing each other around the slide, sometimes hiding in the sandpit or competing to see who could reach the highest point first. When they got tired, I took out the prepared yogurt sticks and gave one to each of the children who had played with Yu Yanchen. That day, we returned very late. Yu Yanchen was visibly happy. He asked if I could come to play again tomorrow. I gently patted his little head. Of course, we can play for an hour and a half after school every day before going back to do homework. Later, Yu Yanchen made a friend at school, a very shy little girl named Ran Ran. She complimented Yu Yanchen on how beautiful his prayer beads were. However, the next day another child maliciously yanked at his prayer beads. Although they didn't break, it made him very upset. The teacher criticized that child, and the child's parent also called to apologize to him. Yu Yanchen said it was fine, and the two children seemed to have reconciled. However, I still felt uneasy. I suddenly realized that Yu Yanchen values this string of prayer beads too much, so even the slightest disturbance affects his mood. I asked him, "Why did your mom give you this string of prayer beads?" "On my birthday, my mom got these prayer beads from the temple. She originally gave one to both me and my dad, but my dad never came back. Mom said the prayer beads would protect me and help me grow up healthy, and she told me never to take them off." His eyes were earnest, his expression solemn. Suddenly remembering something, he dashed over to the safe, entered the code, opened it, and took out a box containing a string of prayer beads. If Mom had worn this string of prayer beads herself, would she not have gotten sick? No one could answer that question. That night, Yusun gazed at the prayer beads in silence. "I'm sorry," he whispered softly. It must have been said to Song Yihuan. Unfortunately, she couldn't hear it anymore. During breakfast the next day, Yusun put the prayer beads on his own wrist. Yu Yanchen saw it and quickly smiled with pursed lips. Then, he noticed my wrist. "Lily sister, you don't have prayer beads on your wrist." My heart felt warm. He really is such a sweet little treasure. I was just about to say it's okay, I don't need them. Yusun immediately said, "I'll buy you one." That same night, I also had a bracelet on my wrist, brown beads with a soft luster, interspersed with a few vibrant green jade beads. I put it on without hesitation. After all, I'm part of this family. If he dares to give, I dare to take, especially since whatever Yusun gives is bound to be good. I'll send a message to Meng Yao later to ask how much this string of prayer beads costs. Meng Yao asked me to take a closer photo and send it to her. After a long while, she replied with a message. "An agarwood and jade bracelet. It once sold for over 2 million. Did your husband give it to you? Girl, I won't charge you a service fee this time, but could you ask your husband if he has any equally wealthy friends?" I quickly closed the chat window. That was close. I almost saw her request for me to introduce her to someone. The only domineering CEO I know is Yusun. Our relationship isn't close enough for me to introduce friends to him. Before long, Ran Ran fell ill and didn't come to school for several days. Yu Yanchen rummaged through his pile of toys and found a string of beads, planning to give it to Ran Ran when she returned to school. He hoped his beads would help her recover. I was deeply moved. The child has grown up and finally made a good friend. However, just a few days later, the teacher called and said with difficulty, "Recently, all the kids in the class have bought bracelets and secretly play with them during class." I asked around, and it turns out it all started with Yu Yanchen. My world collapsed. For the first time in my life, I was summoned as a parent to meet with the teacher. It was terrifying. I promised the teacher that I would definitely discipline Yu Yanchen properly when we got home. After hanging up the phone, I couldn't help but think in exasperation. I used to only worry about him not making friends, but I never imagined he'd end up teaching other kids how to play with prayer beads. Upon returning, Yu Yanchen knew he had done wrong. He admitted his mistake, but he also tried to justify himself. "I only taught Ran Ran how to play with the beads. The others just copied us on their own." To be fair, he did have a point. It's fine to play with prayer beads, but not during class. "You can't bring bracelets to school anymore. I'll keep them safe for you and return them when you're back." Yu Yanchen agreed, but he didn't keep his word. One day when he came back, I checked his backpack and found a string of prayer beads inside. Not his, but someone else's. Faced with my cold expression, He lowered his head in embarrassment. I promised to make prayer beads for someone else. I sneered inwardly but put on a bright smile outwardly. Oh my, what a coincidence. I also promised some other kids that you'd make prayer beads for them. I took out the prepared bracelets, about a dozen in total, originally intended as birthday gifts for the kids in their class if any had birthdays. Now they came in handy. Yu Yanchen's eyes widened in surprise. So many, yes. This one is for Daodu, this one is for Zhuangzhuang, this one is for... But sis, I haven't gone downstairs to play today. You haven't even finished stringing the beads. And you want to go out to play? Hurry up and finish them. I'm waiting to give them to someone. It's perfect timing with the weekend coming up. If you put in some effort, you can finish them in these 2 days. Over the weekend, Yu Yanchen finished stringing the beads in tears. At first, he was full of enthusiasm, but later, he wore a miserable expression, complaining that his hands hurt. I stubbornly insisted, saying I had promised someone else. He cried out. Why did you make such a casual promise to someone else? I blinked and retorted, exactly. Then why did you make such a casual promise to me? You made a promise but didn't keep it. I'm not like you. I can keep mine, but the work was done by me. Do you enjoy playing with prayer beads? I don't like playing with prayer beads. Wah, Yu Yanchen cried while fiddling with them. From then on, he developed a psychological aversion to beads and stopped carrying even his own set. The trend of playing with Buddhist prayer beads in the class lasted only a few days before suddenly fading away. I breathed a sigh of relief, helped him store the beads in the safe, and told him he could take them out again after he turned 18. Only 10 years remained until he turned 18, during which he would go through middle school and high school. Thinking about it carefully, it would actually pass by very quickly. The days passed uneventfully. And Yu Yanchen gradually became more like a normal child, with thoughts, desires, the will to strive, the ability to argue, the capacity to make mistakes, and the willingness to reflect. I think this is good. One winter day, I entered the house to find the room pitch black. Suddenly, candles were lit, and the sound of "Happy Birthday" began to play. Yu Yanchen walked towards me slowly, holding a cake and singing a song. Behind him was the tall and handsome Yusun, surrounded by the villa's butlers, aunts, and others. The father and son were dressed in formal suits with bow ties, their hair neatly combed, their handsome features strikingly similar. For a moment, my heart skipped a beat. This might be what I imagined a perfect family of 3 would look like. But today isn't my birthday, it's the original owner Zhang Lily's. I didn't explain, blending into the cheerful atmosphere, blowing out the candles, eating cake, and accepting their gifts. In the evening, Yu Yanchen very considerately said I didn't need to tuck him in, letting me accompany Dad instead. I entered my room, and Yusun followed me in. I asked him how exactly he had won over Yu Yanchen to speak well of him. Yusun's sharp eyes softened with a gentle smile. I didn't read all those parenting books for nothing, Lily. I'm improving. His slender hand reached into his pocket. I suddenly felt a bit afraid that he might pull out something like a ring, an object with obvious implications. He did take something out, but it was a black card, my supplementary card. Actually, I've wanted to give it to you for a long time, but I wasn't sure how. Today feels just right. I reached out and took the card, gripping it tightly. Oh my God, I finally got to see the legendary black card in person. I probably would have only seen this thing in novels in my lifetime. Just as I was letting out a sigh of relief, Yusun spoke up again. Lily, I'm changing. Can you give me a chance? The breath I had just relaxed froze in my throat. My expression turned grave. I told you long ago that Zhang Lily and I are 2 different people. You should have been able to see the differences between us. Yusun nodded. Yes, during those days when you disappeared with Chen Chen, I knew. You're different. You're completely different people. Yusun, it's good that you admit this. If you acknowledge that Zhang Lily and I are different people, then legally speaking, the person you married is her. If you confess your feelings to me, that's infidelity, and I'd be the other woman. I could never be the other woman. Yusun's face turned deathly pale, as if struck by lightning. His tall, straight frame trembled slightly, his curled fingers clenched tightly. Before leaving, he asked me, then what's your name? My name is Lin Yingxue, a kindergarten teacher. Hobby, reading novels. When I first saw this novel, my professional instincts kicked in, and I immediately spotted the parenting issues in the protagonist's family. Then I woke up and became the stepmother of the capital's Buddhist prince. I don't know where the original owner has gone, nor do I know if she will wake up. Although the law does not recognize a second personality, legally speaking, I am indeed Zhang Lily, Yu Sun's wife, but ethically, she and I are truly two different people. I won't accept Yu Sun's confession just because I occupy her body and feel it's justified. Moreover, I don't like Yu Sun, knowing clearly that I am Lin Xue. I won't fall in love with a married man. After that, things became a bit awkward between Yu Sun and me. He left early and returned late, doing his best to avoid seeing me. I asked Xiao Yang, who told me he's been looking for a psychologist recently. I breathed a sigh of relief. It's actually a good thing that Yu Sun can recognize he has psychological issues. However, one day, I drank a glass of milk and woke up to find myself lying in a psychological counseling room. A doctor around 50 years old was hypnotizing me. I had underestimated the situation. Yu Sun had been behaving so well lately that I almost forgot. He was actually the biggest nutcase in this family. He had been emotionally manipulated by his parents for nearly 30 years. How could I expect him to change his mindset so quickly and become a completely good person? I wanted to speak, but a strange fragrance filled my nose. My eyelids grew heavier, my head dizzy and muddled. Slowly, I closed my eyes, seemingly falling into slumber, yet oddly lucid, my entire being so ethereal it felt as though my soul had left my body. I heard Yushuan whisper in my ear, wake up as Zhang Lily. Please try to love me, give me a little strength. I promise I'll be a good person from now on, a thoroughly good person, a good husband, a good father. Give me a chance, please. Something warm fell on my cheek. It was Yushuan's tear. My mind was racing with wild thoughts. My name is Lily. I don't think so. I think I have a different name. What is my name? I think my name is, Dad. What are you doing, Dad? Open the door. Let me in. Knocking sounds echoed, accompanied by Yu Yanchen's crying. Yu Sun irritably told him to go away. Yu Yanchen might have been startled, pausing for a moment, but soon, he resumed knocking on the door. Unable to bear it any longer, Yu Sun opened the door, only to find not just a tearful Yu Yanchen standing behind it, but also the police. The events of that day were pieced together through the accounts of others after I woke up. Yu Yanchen entered with the police, seeing me lying on the nursing bed, the panicked psychiatrist, and Yu Sun, whose face was as cold as iron. Yu Sun wanted to argue, saying he was conducting psychological therapy for me. Yu Yanchen, however, mustered his courage and raised his smartwatch, which displayed the distress message I had sent. Yu Sun was temporarily detained. The psychologist had their license revoked and was detained. When I woke up, I went to give a statement, confirming that Yu Sun had forcibly hypnotized me, hoping to erase part of my memory, which violated my personal will and restricted my freedom. He committed a criminal offense. But I submitted a report stating he had a mental illness. He wouldn't go to prison but would be sent to a psychiatric hospital, and this psychiatric report was from a long time ago. In fact, he had noticed his mental abnormalities very early on and had been taking medication to control his condition, but his parents drugged him to make him stay with Song Yihuan. So he gave up on himself and stopped taking the medication. It wasn't until he met me that he pulled himself together and started taking the medicine again. After I rejected him, he stopped the medication once more. Perhaps he had already figured it out by then. Being a normal person always comes with various constraints, but being mentally ill offers much more freedom. One can lose control, indulge their desires, and act entirely for themselves. He wanted the real Zhang Lily to disappear, wanted me to lose all memory of having a second personality, so I could peacefully become Zhang Lily, his wife, and raise Yu Yanchen together with him. But he didn't know that during the hypnosis, I kept repeating in my heart, to know others is wisdom, to know oneself is enlightenment. Never lose yourself, never forget, and always remember that my name is Lin Xue. He requested to meet me before being transferred to a psychiatric hospital. I went. He looked utterly exhausted, with disheveled hair and a weary face. Yet his eyes were unprecedentedly calm and clear. I asked him how he had been lately. The corners of his lips curled slightly, forming a smile that saw through the vanity of the world. Rarely had such a good sleep. How about you? He had always been at the top, his entire being in a constant state of tension. Now that he had fallen into the abyss, with nothing left to lose, there was no longer anything to be nervous about. I said, I'm not doing well. My mind is constantly occupied with thoughts. You left behind a mess, and there's a lot I need to deal with. You've had a hard time, he said with a gentle smile, as if genuinely feeling sorry for me. But how did you figure out that I sought a psychologist to hypnotize you? I was quite frank with him, although we haven't met often during this time. The way you look at me carries a deep sense of possessiveness. He suddenly understood, his tone tinged with melancholy. So that's it. I didn't hide it well enough. And how did you convince Chen Chen to help you? In one's life, it's hard to resist paternal authority. My father did many things to me, and it wasn't until I was almost 30 that I found the strength to oppose him. If they hadn't drugged me, I might never have made the decision to send them to a nursing home, I calmly said. A child's heart is purer, filled with love rather than calculation, which is why children are the most likely to resist patriarchy. Young children will clench their tiny fists to hit their father for their mother's sake. They will also glare at their father when sensing their mother's unhappiness. But once people grow up, with interests, calculations, and gains and losses in their hearts, they find it harder to act against their own advantage. I instilled love into Yu Yanquan's heart, so between his father and me, he decisively chose me. If Yu Yanquan abandons me, I still have a follow-up self-rescue plan. My phone and backup phone will periodically send distress messages to Meng Yao and the local police officers I know. Of course, the one from Meng Yao comes with a price. I plan to pay 1 million, which will surely tempt her. Fortunately, Chen Chen didn't let me down and saved me money. Of course, Yu Sun overlooked one more thing. He didn't forget his mother either. Song Yihuan wasn't a very qualified mother. Her love-struck mind caused her to neglect Yu Yanquan a lot, but in Yu Yanquan's memory, she remains the person who loved him most in the world. She never forgot his birthday, always gave him gifts, and sent her blessings. When he was sick, she would rush him to the hospital, and because he kept falling ill, she would anxiously go to the temple to pray for a string of prayer beads. These little acts of love formed the image of his mother in Yu Yanquan's heart. Will he forget how his mother died? No, he just chose not to hate Yushuan, but that doesn't mean he'll forget loving his mother. If Yushuan chooses to harm me, hatred will also revive in Yu Yanquan. Yu Sun's clear eyes rippled with emotion. He lowered his gaze to steady himself, then said softly, "You've raised Chen Chen very well. Meeting you was his great fortune, but I will never be that lucky." I fell silent. In truth, there had once been a sincere love placed before him, but he failed to cherish it. Yet I said nothing. If he couldn't even grasp control of his own destiny, how could an outsider arrogantly presume to dictate the fate of another? Finally, Yu Sun said he wanted to entrust the company and Yu Yanquan to me. Coincidentally, the two matters I came to discuss with him today were exactly these. I straightforwardly told him that I couldn't manage the company, so it should still be left to him to run. Xiao Yang would bring the documents and report to him daily at the mental hospital. After all, it concerns the jobs of tens of thousands of people. I don't want Yu Sun to retire in a mental hospital. He shouldn't slack off on any of the work he's supposed to do. When he was mentally ill before, he could manage the company well. Now, it's just a change of office location. He can definitely handle it. Yu Sun raised an eyebrow, clearly shocked by my idea. He gritted his teeth. Lin Yingxue, you really know how to make the most of everything. I'm already in a mental hospital. Work a little harder. You completely dumped our son on me, and I haven't complained. You know, raising a child isn't any easier than managing a company. Let's each do what we're good at. It'll make things easier for both of us. Damn it, he cursed with a completely unconvincing threat. Actually, I'm quite at peace with this situation. In the novel, before Yu Yanquan grew up and returned to seize the family assets, Yu Sun had always managed the company quite well. In this regard, I've decided to trust him. After all, if it falls into my hands, it might truly mean smashing everyone's rice bowl. The second matter is the divorce agreement between him and me. I am divorcing him. He is compensating me with 10 million. Yu Sun fell silent. Is divorce really necessary? I sighed helplessly. You should be glad it's me you're dealing with now. If Zhang Lily were to return, your divorce wouldn't be this easy. You're going to prison, and I don't know when I might suddenly disappear. Getting divorced now is to prevent Chen Chen from facing difficulties in the future. I think you should understand that. Yu Sun didn't speak, just looked at me with a faint smile. A spark of realization suddenly flashed through my mind. My thoughts were still too naive. Yu Sun has been exposed to far more darkness than I have. He has every means to make Zhang Lily physically disappear. After all, he's mentally ill. Yu Sun's expression suddenly softened. He lowered his eyelids to hide the madness burning in his eyes. his voice hoarse and filled with pain. Ingshue, don't be afraid of me, I'm not that despicable, only those with principles suffer. If I truly had no bottom line, I wouldn't be here. I let out a long sigh. Sign it. The 10 million in compensation is for Zhang Lily. I took advantage of her body. So I should fight for some benefits for her, at least for now. She only loves money and hasn't done anything evil yet. Besides, I love money too. Yu Sun changed the numbers. 110 million, you get 100 million, she gets 10 million. But on one condition, don't tell Chen Chen about our divorce, and help me take good care of Chen Chen. I breathed a sigh of relief. That was exactly what I intended to do. Holding the reprinted and signed agreement, I made one final request. Can you arrange a position for me at the company? I want to learn more things, whether I can return in the future or not. The opportunity to access a higher social circle is exceptionally rare. I don't want all my time to revolve around the children. I need to engage with the outside world to distract myself, gain a sense of achievement, and improve myself. This way, I'll have fewer expectations of Yu Yanchen, which will be better for both of us. Yu Sun agreed. He assigned me as Xiao Yang's assistant because Xiao Yang had access to all levels of the company and was privy to the most critical core information. He had genuinely thought it through for me. I was very grateful to him. I bid him farewell, and as I opened the door, Yu Sun's deep, hoarse voice called out from behind me, "Tell Chen Chen I'm sorry for me, and please teach him well, so that he won't end up like me." I responded with a quiet, "Okay," and gently closed the door, stepping outside. I leaned against the wall and slowly crouched down, feeling a mix of complicated emotions. Everything went smoothly, yet I couldn't shake this uneasy feeling. Everything went so smoothly that it made me realize Yu Sun wasn't inherently bad. He was just incredibly unlucky. His family life was fraught with hardship, his love life was thorny at every step, and even his relationship with his children was rocky. Finally, when he met me, I ended up sending him to a mental hospital. From inside the room came a muffled sob, so suppressed it sounded almost like the wail of a wounded animal. After listening for a moment, I didn't dare linger any longer. Tiptoeing as quietly as I could, I fled from that place. No one's life can be traced back to its origins, for every hateful person has their pitiable side, yet everyone's life should be traced back to its origins. As this can prevent tragedies from recurring, Yu Sun has already reached this point. But Yu Yanchen's future still holds infinite possibilities. The huge villa was left with only Yu Yanchen and me. Yu Yanchen seemed to have grown up all of a sudden, becoming well-behaved, sensible, and more dependent on me, but I knew he sometimes had nightmares and wondered if he had done something wrong. I sincerely thanked him, but the person you saved wouldn't think you were wrong. She'd think you're a hero. Because making the right decision can sometimes be agonizing. It means overcoming inner desires, societal constraints, and the questioning of one's conscience. You've done all that, so in my eyes, you're a little hero. Chen Chen, you saved me. I'm so happy. He is learning to be self-consistent, making peace with his past self, and moving forward lightly. On scheduled days, I take him to see Yushuan. The father and son don't talk much during their meetings. One handles official business while the other does homework. When the time comes, one says, "Goodbye, Dad," and the other replies, "Goodbye, Chen Chen." Their relationship remains as calm and simple as water. Sometimes I try to subtly hint at Yu Yanchen on how to make small talk and chat with people. Yu Yanchen blinked his clear eyes and said earnestly, "Sister, Dad and I are destined to have this kind of interaction. It's comfortable for him and for me too. There's no need to force anything. I'm actually quite happy. These past few years have been the most harmonious time between us. Before, he was always angry, but now I don't find him scary at all." He had overcome Yu Sun, or rather, he had conquered his inner fears. It's truly amazing. When Yu Yanchen was in middle school, he moved to a new environment. His exam scores were excellent, earning him admission to a prestigious middle school where all the children were focused on studying. And Yu Yanchen also devoted himself wholeheartedly to his studies. He had a natural talent for learning and effortlessly became the shining top student in his class. I've always had complete trust in him, until one day, when I happened to pass by his school and decided to wait for him to go home together. A group of children came out of the school. I spotted Yu Yanchen from afar, hearing several kids bid him farewell with laughter and chatter. "Bye-bye, Buddha boy of the capital circle." Yu Yanchen waved goodbye to them with a smile, seemingly unbothered, yet, it felt like someone had plucked a string in my heart. leaving me restless and uneasy. Damn it, I spent so much time helping him get rid of the title, Buddha-like Prince of the Capital Circle. Who gave him that name again? Yu Yanchen saw me and noticed the half-smile on my face. Sis, oh, starting to panic now. I hooked my arm around his neck. Come on, let's go home and play with the beads. Yu Yanchen's face changed dramatically. It was them shouting nonsense, just joking around. Classmates would secretly read novels to relieve stress during breaks from their heavy academic workload. For some reason, they felt Yu Yanchen exuded a zen-like aura and dubbed him the Buddha of Beijing's elite circle. At first, they called him that behind his back, but eventually, they started using the nickname to his face. Perhaps this was just the power of the plot at work. I kept trying hard to steer him away from the plot, but the storyline would always slowly correct itself. But I believe in the power of time. Even if we deviate from the plot by just 1 degree, looking along the timeline, it will eventually form a very, very wide gap, diverging many, many steps from the original plot. He might not take it seriously, but the strings that need tightening should still be tightened. I went back and searched for some corny jokes, then said to Yu Yanchen, "We are meant to be the serene monks of the capital circle, so we must remain solemn. Below, I'll tell a few jokes, and you must hold back. No laughing." There was a ship sailing on the ocean, carrying 5 animals. Yu Yanchen couldn't even make it past 3 jokes before bursting into laughter like a goofball. I feel reassured. This is definitely the child I raised, inheriting my low threshold for laughter. However, I still told Yu Yanchen, "Don't label yourself. The power of suggestion is terrifying. What you need to do now is explore yourself and gain self-awareness. The rarest thing is to truly understand yourself. Some people go their whole lives without knowing who they are, and that's truly tragic." I remember very clearly that when I graduated from college and wrote my resume, I had no idea what kind of person I was or how to describe myself in the self-introduction section. Back then, I just followed the crowd, picking a resume template and filling it in mechanically. It wasn't until later that I met a truly remarkable mentor. She taught me to gradually understand myself, to know myself, and to observe myself. Only then did I realize that I'm actually someone who values inner depth, enjoys thinking, has empathy, and prefers taking charge independently. On the flip side, social interactions drain me, teamwork exhausts me, and I can't understand why some people slack off in collaboration. At the same time, I often sacrifice my own needs by being overly considerate of others. Once I figured this out, I became completely unafraid to make trade-offs when job hunting. Ironically, this approach attracted people with similar traits, making both work and life much more enjoyable. I hope Yu Yanchen starts pondering this issue now. I believe it will help him accept life's joys and sorrows sooner, and embrace and tolerate himself earlier. During Yu Yanchen's high school years, Yu Sun was discharged from the psychiatric hospital. He adhered to his medication regimen, and the treatment proved highly effective. Instead of moving back in, he purchased another villa adjacent to ours, living next door, close enough for regular visits without intrusion. We would gather together during holidays and festivals. Yu Sun would remember our preferences, preparing meals to our taste, beautifully colored teas, and some trendy snacks. He was making an effort to make us feel comfortable. And Yu Yanchen would also pick topics that interested Yu Sun to chat with him about. More often, I would talk about work-related matters, seeking Yu Sun's advice, and he would share everything he knew without holding back. I feel fortunate to have met such kind people in my life. I've truly been lucky to encounter one benefactor after another, and I'm grateful to each of them. Time passed, and he seemed to have calmed down toward me, no longer driven by that impulsive attraction between men and women. Finally, being with him no longer felt like a burden. In my senior year of high school, I suddenly felt an inexplicable weakness in my body and always wanted to sleep. I went to the hospital for a checkup, and all the test results came back quite good, except for a minor, negligible nodule in my breast. Everything else was fine. I realized that perhaps it was time for me to go. But Yu Yanchen was about to take the college entrance exam. I didn't want to affect him at such a critical moment, so I simply told Yu Sun about the matter and resigned. I needed to adjust my schedule, sleeping during the day so I could stay awake and alert when Yu Yanchen returned, keeping him company and ensuring he wouldn't worry. Yu Sun contacted the best medical team to re-examine me, but the results remained the same. His eyes were slightly red, his hands trembling as he held the report. His lips instantly drained of color, his throat moved as he struggled to call out my name, Lin Xue. after completing a series of tests, I was mentally exhausted, my eyelids almost unable to stay open, but I knew he was heartbroken, so I forced myself to comfort him. Don't worry too much, I should be going back to where I originally came from. It's not death. I'll think of you and Chen Chen over there. If you have a lot to say to me, you can send it to me now. I'll memorize it and transcribe it once I get there. My body seemed out of control, and I involuntarily closed my eyes. When I was woken by the alarm clock, I was in the villa's bed. Yu Sun must have carried me back. Without time to think further, I hurriedly freshened up, making myself look lively and beautiful to accompany Yu Yanchen for dinner upon his return home. He kept glancing at me over and over. I checked myself carefully and felt everything seemed normal. Why are you looking at me? Is there something wrong with me? You seem to have less of that work fatigue vibe today. I secretly complained in my heart. What a dog-like nose. I yawned. I'm tired from work, so I took some time off. I'll go back after a while. When you start working later, you'll reek of the work stench even more than I do. In the original text, he treated work as his life. As if he had no other hobbies or entertainment besides working. Even when going to entertainment venues with others, he remains aloof, casually playing with his beads. Fortunately, he's perfectly normal now. He has sports games he wants to watch, movies he's eager to see, favorite comics, collectible figurines, beloved celebrities. And he also vents about national affairs while fretting over how to politely reject love letters without hurting anyone's feelings. She also asks to go out with friends occasionally and knows to keep me informed. He has truly grown into a fine young man, and I doubt he'll remain the kind of domineering CEO who only knows how to work, earn money, and throw it around. Yu Yanchen was busy with the college entrance exams, while I was busy memorizing poetry. Yu Sun sent me a poem every day to memorize. Those poems are beautiful. He printed them into a booklet and made me memorize them. You probably won't remember what I say, but we can read the same poem. I knew parting would be hard, so I didn't argue and memorized them earnestly. Yet as I memorize, I keep forgetting. It feels like my brain isn't even mine anymore. The only poem I remember firmly is Evening Star by the female poet Sappho. Hesperus, you bring back all that the dawn scattered. You bring the sheep, you bring the goat, you bring the child back to its mother. Perhaps it's because I've taken on the role of Yu Yanchen's mother, or perhaps it's because, as a child, I too must return to my own mother's side. While reading this poem, I felt nothing but inner peace, as if the evening stars had carried away all my worries. After Yu Yanchen's college entrance exams ended, the three of us went out to party together. The roads were jam-packed that day, but smiles seemed welded to our faces. Everywhere were parents taking their kids out to have fun, and even more were groups of children playing together. Yu Yanchen's classmates were calling for him too. At first, Yu Yanchen refused. Later, he kept checking his phone, so I nudged him to hurry up. Graduating from high school is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You won't get to reunite like this again. Don't hold back because of us too. You'll have plenty of time to spend with us, but chances to be with your classmates are truly rare. I'm sure many people want to see you today, so go ahead. Don't leave with regrets, sis. Yu Yanchen hesitated. Go, I want you to go, I encouraged him. Yu Yanchen nodded. Yu Sun and I escorted him to the place. A girl ran out to greet him, but upon seeing us, she shyly stopped in her tracks. Her eyes sparkled as she looked at Yu Yanchen. Yu Yanchen waved at us sheepishly, then quickly walked in side by side with the girl. The young figures stood tall and agile. How wonderful they looked. I asked Yu Sun the girl's name, knowing he had been quietly keeping an eye on Yu Yanchen all these years and was more familiar with his classmates than I was. Sure enough, Yu Sun replied, Song Yujia. I feel a bit regretful that it's not the female lead's name. Perhaps I won't live to see Yu Yanchen meet the female lead. This time, I've raised Yu Yanchen to be a good boy. If they never meet, so be it. But if they do, I hope they can have a happy ending, a stable, fulfilling life supporting each other with honesty. The first time Yu Sun and I stayed out late, I fell asleep in his arms, just before completely drifting off. I felt him lean down and very lightly touch my lips, then quickly pull away as if afraid I'd notice. The moment a thought of protest rose in my heart, darkness swallowed me. When I woke up, I thought, never mind, I can't expect him to always be a gentleman, because sometimes I want to be a little wicked too. After all, life is too short to always be serious. On Yu Yanchen's 18th birthday, I completely passed out. I heard Yu Yanchen's cries. Yu-sun frantically called my name. Someone was calling for an ambulance, others brought towels and ice packs. I felt my body light as a feather, slowly detaching from this physical form. I saw my body wake up, its eyes opening in a daze. I also saw Yu-sun and Yu Yanchen as if someone had pressed the pause button, frozen in place, unable to move. Those who know me well would realize at a glance that the person in this body now is not me. Yu-sun stepped back in disappointment and slumped onto the sofa, as if he had lost his soul. Yu Yanchen held Zhang Lily's hand, suppressing his sorrow. He spoke calmly, "Auntie, don't be afraid. You might not be able to process this right away. Rest for a while first. I'll be right outside if you need anything. Would you like a cup of warm water?" Zhang Lily nodded. Yu Yanchen handed her the water glass. She drank the hot water and felt slightly better. "I saw everything. I'll leave on my own." "All right, rest well first. Once you've recovered, you can leave whenever you want." Yu Yanchen comforted her. I felt relieved. That's great. Over the years, the most important things I've taught Yu Yanchen, besides loving himself, are respecting women, acknowledging gender differences, communicating equally, and avoiding arrogance or hasty conclusions. He has done very well. He realized early on that I wasn't Zhang Lily, and that I would leave someday. At first, he was very sad, but as time passed, he gradually adapted. Later, I thought he had forgotten about it. But from the day he said I had lost my workplace vibe, I knew he had anticipated it all along. He is much stronger than any of us imagined. Seeing him able to control his emotions and comfort Zhang Lily first, I was completely at ease. He has grown into a tree, capable of sheltering others from wind and rain. I fell into darkness, completely leaving this place. The soul drifts, thoughts soar, and love flows eternally through time. 23. The day Zhang Lily left the Yu family. Her heart was filled with melancholy. She had gone through immense hardship to marry into a wealthy family, yet she ended up falling into a deep sleep, enjoying none of it, and left in a daze. But she was grateful that she had been unconscious. No one knew that while she was asleep, she had a nightmare. In the dream, she treated Yu Yanchen with extreme cruelty, and in the end, she received an equally cruel fate. Occasionally, she would wake up and see the actions of that girl named Lin Yingxue. Comparing them to her own behavior, she felt constantly shocked and had sudden realizations. She clearly understood one thing: Lin Yingxue's arrival not only helped Yu-sun and Yu Yanchen, but also indirectly saved her. Therefore, she bore no resentment toward her. Moreover, Lin Yingxue had maintained this body exceptionally well. If she had continued with her original lifestyle, she might have developed various health issues at a young age. The day she left the Yu family, she took nothing with her. She had initially intended to take some essentials, but upon seeing the reddened eyes of Yu-sun and Yu Yanchen, she thought it better to buy new ones instead. Before she left, Yu Yanchen handed her a letter. When she opened it, it was written by Lin Yingxue. "Dear Lily, my darling, hello. I'm truly sorry for occupying your body for over a decade. You missed out on the wonderful years of youth, waking up in your 30s. It must be deeply regrettable. But I've tried many methods and truly couldn't find a way to leave your body, so I can only accept this outcome with resignation. Fortunately, I've worked hard over the years and saved up a fortune for you. If I rent your body at a rate of 20 million per year, I think you might be happier. The bank card contains the over 200 million I've saved over the years, all entrusted to you. Please live a better life. Your other personality, Lin Yingxue." Zhang Lily's eyes were slightly moist. "Thank you, stranger. Thank you for loving me so much," smoothing away the last bit of unwillingness in my heart. After leaving the Yu family, Zhang Lily kept a close eye on news about the father and son. She thought this might be a form of after-sales service. She wanted to care for them a little more, as a way to repay Lin Yingxue. She heard that the Yu father and son had bought a burial plot for Lin Yingxue, interring her beside Song Yihuan. During Qingming festival, she went to visit, seeing the two tall figures of father and son standing there like stone pillars. After a long while, they moved. They diligently and carefully cleaned the two graves, pulled out the surrounding weeds, leaving behind the beautiful little flowers, and instructed the caretaker to frequently replace them with fresh ones. Then, reluctantly, they departed in the light rain. After they left, she went to see the two graves. Song Yihuan's tombstone read, "The name of the first flower you taught me to recognize still writes, Mother, on every petal to this day." Lin Yingxue's tombstone read, "O evening star, you bring back all that the dawn has scattered. You bring back the sheep, You bring back the goat. You bring back the child to its mother. She read it over and over again. Her heart swelled, like a seed sprouting. She thought, what truly beautiful poetry. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.